Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me tonight. As always, I am pretty excited about tonight's conversation and tonight's guest. Tonight is a great opportunity for all of us to get to know a little bit more about one of our elected officials here in Oklahoma County. If you are new to these weekly conversations, welcome to the family. We are excited that you found your way here. If you've missed any of the previous conversations, no problem. You can find any of those conversations on my YouTube channel. Just jump over to YouTube, look for Conversations with Cubit, and when you get there, be sure to subscribe. Then you can browse all of the past conversations and you'll love them. There's lots of good ones. But right now, we are streaming live, so I need you to do me a favor. I need you to share tonight's conversation. That's right. Do not keep this conversation to yourself. We want as many people as possible to join into this live conversation. You absolutely got to share tonight's conversation. This is something that the whole community needs to know about. So hit the share button and start a watch party right now. I also got to send a special shout out, as always, to my friends at Green Pasture Studios because they host these weekly conversations. My friends Richard and Amy James are running things out there, and I just love everything they do. Everything from a full-fledged movie production, commercials. They even have a training academy to teach people the movie business. I spent a few hours there on set last week, and it's incredible to watch the movie production process happening right here in Oklahoma City. So look them up. You'll be glad you did. But as you can see, we are not at the studio tonight. More about this cool place that you see in the background in just a second. Let me tell you my 3 simple rules for these weekly conversations. One is I simply just want to add value to people and to my community. 2, I want to inspire you to believe in what people and communities can become when we're willing to work together. And 3, love people, period. No strings attached. All that means is I want you to be inspired and I want you to get useful information and resources. And then I want to celebrate individuals, groups, and organizations who are making a positive impact on our community. Every conversation will be about information, inspiration, and hope. Now let me tell you about tonight's host. Tonight's host is Dr. Patrina Satterwhite Walter. She is the owner, operator of the Look Eye Care, which you will find greatly located at 1726 Northeast 23rd. You can easily find this place because it's located in the same area as a few of my other favorite places like Eastside Pizza, Spiked Coffee, and Kindred Spirits. The Look Eye Care is a full service eye and vision care provider and will take both eye emergencies as well as scheduled appointments. Dr. Satterwhite Walter and her team are dedicated to always keeping their patients comfortable, well informed, and they are super helpful and will explain every exam and procedure and answer all of the patient's questions. And how do I know this for sure? I know this for sure because Dr. Patrina has several members of my family as her patient, and I, myself, was just here last week for a complete examination. You'll see me with glasses next week, I'm sure. I might also mention to you that they work well with insurance providers and have several different financing options. So look them up online or call and schedule your long overdue eye exam. I know you need one. Do it right now. Okay, let's get started. My guest tonight is the Oklahoma County Commissioner for District 1, Miss Carrie Blumert. She was elected in 2018, and Carrie is a graduate of Oklahoma State University, earning a Bachelor's of Science in Child and Family Services, and has since earned a Master's of Public Health from the University of Oklahoma Health Science Center. She is now seeking a second term. During her time in leadership, she has had to deal with serious issues surrounding our jail, the formation of the jail trust, a rapidly growing social justice movement, a pandemic, and then managing federal relief money related to COVID-19. Carrie has been a friend and a supporter of everything I do with youth around our city, and she boldly supported my 2020 campaign for Oklahoma County Sheriff. She has a resume that proves her willingness to serve, and it must run in the family because I met her sister, and she is an incredible defense attorney here in the metropolitan area. So ladies and gentlemen, here to tell us much more about herself and her campaign is none other than the Carrie Blumert, and the crowd goes wild. Welcome to Conversations with Cubit.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, all right.
That was a very nice introduction. Thank you.
Well, I try. I'm just making stuff up as I go, but I don't know. Found some cool stuff around here or what?
Yes, I was trying on a few of these before we started.
We were almost late playing around with the classes, but yeah, cool place, and I can't wait to introduce you. So, Dr. Petrina is a schoolmate of mine.
Okay.
So don't say anything bad about the Millwood Falcons, or your prescription will never be straight again.
Cecilia would
That's right.
have me in trouble if I did that.
All day. Okay, so before we get started, I have these rapid fire questions that really tell me, the police officer, all I need to know about the candidate or the person.
Okay.
I mean, it sums it all up.
Okay.
Depending on how you answer these. So it's just one or the other. Don't try to wiggle out and not pick, okay? You ready?
Yes.
All right. Here we go. You're going to pick one of these.
Okay.
I got 15 little questions, and I don't need to know anything else.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Do you call them sneakers or tennis shoes?
Tennis shoes.
You call them tennis shoes?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I didn't know.
You told your age a little bit, but that's okay.
I didn't know I was going to be judged.
Yeah. Well, that's just me. Just all the police officers watching will
Tennis
probably
shoes.
judge you. Yeah, tennis shoes.
shoes.
All right. Rap music or country music?
Rap.
Rap. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody in particular?
Kanye.
Oh.
I mean, I'll listen to almost anything.
Anything. Okay.
Yeah. I know Kanye might be a little controversial, but.
Well, maybe. That's okay. But that's okay. Coming a little bit centrally located, would you rather go to Frontier City or Whitewater?
Whitewater.
Whoa, okay. Wedding or birthday party?
Birthday party.
Birthday party. You act a little flaky here. Okay.
I didn't want to offend anyone whose wedding I've been to.
Okay, all right. Texting. If you're texting, one hand or two hands?
Two hands.
Whoa, so you wrap it. You can get it done.
Yeah.
So you don't drive and text. Okay,
I try not to. No,
okay, good.
no,
Good,
Lieutenant. No.
Okay, right. I know you don't do fried food, but if you did fried food, would you do fried fish or fried chicken?
I do love fried fish. I will say that.
Okay, all right. Scary movie or comedy?
Comedy.
Okay. I already know the answer to this one. Instagram or Twitter?
I'm all about Instagram.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time on Instagram.
Yeah. Handshake or hug?
Hug.
Hug.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. First 48 or CSI?
CSI.
Oh, it's so fake. Okay. All right. Never mind. I'm not judging. I'm not judging. Do you go for the appetizer or do you save room for dessert?
Dessert.
Really?
I'm a sweets person.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. When you go on a road trip, is it for the shopping and sightseeing or is it for family and friends? That's a shopping.
Shopping and sightseeing. I like going on road trips by myself, actually.
Oh, by yourself?
Yeah.
So that's sightseeing?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Would you rather, well, so I just kind of answer the question. Would you rather be the driver or the passenger?
Passenger.
By yourself?
So,
okay,
yeah. Self-driving car. No.
Yeah, right.
I guess I don't have an answer to that. I like both.
You like
I
both?
don't have
Okay.
a preference.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Is it 235, I-235, or is it Broadway Extension?
I-235.
Oh.
What does that say about me?
When did you get to Oklahoma City?
2010.
That's why. It's my
235.
It's Broadway Extension.
Oh, is that like folks who call Northwest Expressway Northwest Highway?
Very much so. But
Okay.
So Northwest Highway is going to be probably those people born in the 50s.
Okay.
I just got in trouble. Hey, it's not Northwest Highway, it's Northwest Expressway, and I was born in the late 60s.
Okay.
All right, so you passed.
Okay.
You passed.
Okay.
I know a whole lot more about you
Oh, okay, good.
now. All
Okay.
right. But tell us more. So
Okay.
before we get into all of the campaign and the business of that, tell us a little bit about your upbringing. So before 2010, where were you?
Right. So I was born in Alaska. My dad was in oil and gas. He worked on offshore rigs way up near the North Slope. So we lived in Alaska. We moved to Oklahoma when I was 3 as a temporary move. And here we are almost 35 years later. And we moved to Ponca City. So I spent about 10 years in Ponca City. And then in middle school, we moved to Bartlesville. And Bartlesville is now what I call home. That's where my parents live. That's where My sister and I graduated high school. So Bartlesville is home. That's where we go for holidays and things.
Okay.
I went to OSU for my undergrad and then moved to Oklahoma City to come get my master's in public health. So OU is the only school in Oklahoma that offers a master's in public health. And so came here 12 years ago and never left. Found a job in a community that I loved and started getting involved in politics and all that kind of stuff. And now I'm here.
How do you go from public health to county commissioner politics?
That's a good question.
That bridge, how do you get there?
So after I got my master's in public health, I went to go work for Girl Scouts in their corporate office doing community development. So I would go out, I had 3 counties. I would go out and recruit volunteers, train volunteers, help start troops. Anytime we got United Way funding, I would go into schools and run the programs that the United Way was funding. And then after that, I started working for the Oklahoma City County Health Department. So that's more.
That's where I remember.
It's more public health.
Okay.
And had a couple different jobs when I was at the health department, but the position that I had when I decided to run for office and had when I left was managing all of our community partnerships. So public health is, it's the sidewalks you walk on, it's immunizations, it's fresh, clean water. I mean, it affects your everyday life all day. And so it's so important that the health department has all these partnerships with different organizations and schools and the faith community. And so that's where I started getting involved in the community and in kind of the political world, because there's all kinds of policies and programs that the government funds or doesn't fund that affects public health. So I got connected with a few women running for office and just started volunteering and loved it. So
it wasn't an issue that got you. It was
being involved in the community and the relationships, and I oddly really liked knocking on doors, which most people find it very scary and intimidating. I loved it.
I like knocking doors,
yeah.
But there's a part of it I don't like.
Yeah.
It's the phone part of it. I don't like the phone part of it.
Oh, like what do you mean?
I don't like calling people and saying, hey, I'm your candidate. I'm the one for you. And can you write me a check? I didn't like that part.
The fundraising. Okay. Yeah. That part has gotten easier. That part was a little uncomfortable at first.
Yeah. I don't have a problem doing it. I don't have a problem asking the money, but it was just boring. It's just boring.
You might have to get over that. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't have to get over it. I'm not running for
right.
anything.
That's true. That's true. No. So I was volunteering, and then I started thinking about running myself. This was probably 2016. Didn't really know what I wanted to run for. I knew that I cared about criminal justice reform, mental health, addiction treatment. I knew those were 3 big issues that whatever I ran for, I needed to be able to work on those issues. And I have a history of mental illness in my family, and my mom has been in and out of treatment many different times for mental illness and addiction, and so that's something that I've lived myself. So when I started talking about running, a few people said, you should look into running for county commissioner. And I said, this is exactly what I said. I'm not qualified to do that.
Yeah.
And Kendra Horn looked me straight in the eye and she said, Carrie, do not say that. You are more than qualified. And she listed off why. And I said, okay, I trust you. And decided a few months later that I was going to do it.
Yeah.
So I was not involved in politics in school. I was not in like student government. This is such not the path that I thought I was going to have, but it all kind of makes sense now, and I love it. So. Right.
So I'm not so sure. I think I know now because I know you, and I've kind of been hanging around.
Yeah.
And then I kind of got into politics a little bit.
Yeah.
What does the county commissioner do? Explain.
Great
I know it's
question.
a lot of stuff, but the common Joe citizen, help me understand the basics of the job.
Most people don't know, and that's okay. Where's my camera? And when I was campaigning in 2018 and knocking on all these doors, most of what I said when I was knocking someone's door and having that conversation was, here's what a county commissioner actually does, and here's why you should care. Because most people don't know. Mm-hmm. So in Oklahoma County, we have 3 county commissioners. So I'm one of 3. I represent District 1, the best district. We're number 1.
I'm with it.
It includes Northeast Oklahoma City, Spencer, Forest Park, Midwest City, Del City, Central Oklahoma City, The Village, Nakoma Park, Jones, and a portion of South Oklahoma City. So it is big, very diverse. South Oklahoma City just got brought in during redistricting, and of course, I also included in the district is the Asian district. So it's very diverse. And then Jones is a little bit more on the rural side. So that's fun. It's just so different to go to all these places. But anyway, off on my rabbit trail. So county commissioners, we function as the administrators of county government. So if you think of a city, they have a city manager who signs all the contracts, hires and oversees the employees, looks at the budget. So we as county commissioners perform that role for Oklahoma County.
And divided up in three.
So there are three, yes. So the county budget, we approve that every year. We have county employees that we hire and oversee. We set policies for the county. And then each county commissioner has their own road and bridge crews that service the roads and bridges in your district. So I have my own crew, District 1, we call it the yard. But our office where all of our road and bridge equipment is out on Northeast 23rd, almost to Midwest Boulevard. So it's pretty far out there. And so I'm in charge of those, 25 guys who are doing road projects and school projects every day. And then the other two commissioners have their own crews.
Okay.
The biggest portion of what a lot of people associate with our jobs here in Oklahoma County is the jail. If you're in a more rural county, folks are going to associate roads and bridges with their county commissioner, which we do that too.
Right.
But because we have such a large jail and it has had so many problems, that is what gets the most press and what the public associates with us the most.
Yep. So let's go there.
Yeah.
Let's go there. So the jail.
Rip that Band-Aid off.
Yeah. So the jail has been I don't care if you're involved in criminal justice or all that kind of stuff, you're probably just sick of hearing it.
Yeah.
Break it down to where we've been, what we went through, and then where we're headed.
Okay. So the jail we have right now is in downtown Oklahoma City. It is 13 stories, and I'll get in a minute to why that's not good. So it was built and opened in 1991. So some of you folks watching may not have even been alive in 1991. It was opened in 1991. It was paid for with a 1 cent sales tax, similar to MAPS, where the community voted to approve it. And
go ahead.
okay, the community voted to approve the 1 cent. It was temporary. So the 1 cent only went to pay for the construction of the building. There was no ongoing operations money. So built in 1991, it's a 13-story facility. It was built to hold 1,200 people, 1,200 detainees, and very quickly, we put way more than 1,200 people in there. And throughout the 90s and the early 2000s, that was pretty consistently the case, where there was way over 1,200, at times closer to 2,500. I want to say in the mid-2000s, 2009, 2010, 11, maybe in that range, maybe even later than that. So 2014, 15, the community realized this is not working.
Yep.
And a advisory council was formed. It is now called the Criminal Justice Advisory Council. A group called the Vera Institute was brought in to do a full comprehensive study of why are there so many people in jail? Is this building sufficient? How do we get people out? Like what are all the pain points in this system? So from that Vera report came the advisory council, and still today the advisory council meets, and we've been able to lower the jail population to about 1,500 to 1,600 people, which is still too many,
right?
But it is an improvement over what it was. The jail itself, 13 stories is not efficient. When you have folks who need to go to medical, need to go see their attorney.
How many elevators is that?
Oh, in the building, there's either 2 or 3. I think there's
3 elevators, 13 floors, 1,500 people.
And so
and staff.
So if I'm a detainee and I need to go up to medical, I need to have all 3 of my meals served that day. I need to go meet with my attorney. Oh, and then the next day I'm going to court. Every single time I have an interaction like that, a staff member has to get on the elevator, go up or down, come get me, we go up or down. And the elevators are not like the elevators that you see everywhere else where you just push a button. The elevators are managed by a central control. So one person sitting in an office with a whole bunch of cameras and a whole bunch of buttons. And so you have to call in and say, hey, I'm on 5 with so-and-so detainee. I need to get to 12 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it just, moving throughout the building is really difficult.
I get it.
So anyway, and of course the news is not shy about covering what's going on at the jail. We've had, unfortunately, folks die inside the jail. We've had a few high profile escapes.
So that's the question that came up here. Tells me to ask you what the commissioners are doing to prevent any further deaths at the Oklahoma County Jail.
So I'm glad this person asked this because I need to kind of go into how the trust is set up and how the commissioners oversee it. So in 2019, the county commissioners voted to create a jail trust. We appointed 9 members to serve. The type of trust we created did not have to go out for a vote of the people. It could be created by the county commissioners voting to create it.
And that was to look that was so the commissioners would not have to spend so much time on the jail specifically, or
sort of, not necessarily. So for many, many years since the day the jail opened, the sheriff has run the jail. And in 1995, there was a grand jury that was convened and investigated why this jail was built so improperly, why there have already been escapes, who built it, what was going on. The report from that grand jury investigation in 1995 said, we recommend you institute a jail trust. We do not believe...
Not until 2019.
So that was their recommendation, to basically provide more transparency. The report from the grand jury basically said that the sheriff needs to be focusing on law enforcement and be out in the community, and a professional needs to run the jail. So that was 1995. So fast forward, 2019, you finally have 3 commissioners who are going to support it and do it. So we voted it in. The jail trust met for an entire year before they actually took over operations at the jail. So the jail trust took over in 2020. They hired a professional administrator. So the sheriff moved out. He now just does law enforcement, and then he also services the courts, warrants and things like that. So jail trust hires an administrator. What a lot of folks don't understand is that now that we have this jail trust, I, as a commissioner, have no authority over that administrator. I cannot hire that person. I cannot fire that person. My authority is now completely financial. So the commissioners make sure that the jail trust has their money. They have adequate funding to run the building. If and when we build a new jail, the commissioners and the jail trust have to work together. There's a whole bunch of different parts that have to move for that to work together.
Can the commissioners say the jail trust is not working and you know what, let's just dissolve it? No. Because I've heard a lot of cry that it should be dissolved.
So the only way the jail trust can be dissolved is if the jail trust votes unanimously to dissolve it, the commissioners vote unanimously to dissolve it, and the governor signs off on it. So all these folks come yell at our meetings and say, you need to get rid of the jail trust. It's a little more complicated than that. And in my opinion, is the jail trust working perfectly? No. Have there been some major blunders? Yeah. Would I rather have the jail trust in place than the sheriff running the jail? For right now, yes. But to that person's question about how are we going to prevent more deaths, that's on Greg and his administration inside the jail and the healthcare team inside the jail. And I think if they haven't woken up yet, it's time for them to wake up and maybe try to do things a little differently, because it seems like every few weeks we're hearing that someone else has died.
Yeah. All right, we could go on and on. You know, I have. And it's not going to be edifying everybody watching, because I know a little bit more about the jail and stuff, and so it's not we could go on and on just about the jail. So the other thing that what did you learn from the pandemic? Was it the social justice movement during the pandemic? Was it the funds during the pandemic? Was it keeping people? I mean, it was an unknown, unprecedented thing for anybody in leadership to have to deal with.
The biggest thing I learned was how vulnerable so many people in our community are. One paycheck away from losing their home, or especially at the very beginning when so many things closed and people were out of work. Thankfully, we had an eviction moratorium for a little while. And when the county received some of our federal relief money in 2020, I fought very hard to get that money to renters, small businesses, and nonprofits. And thankfully, we were able to do that. And I'm really proud of that. But in a leadership position, COVID revealed to me, I mean, I knew there were vulnerabilities in our community. I knew there were communities that were not being served, but this really shined the light on it.
Right. What's the, how did you feel like we handled, or the county, what was their role? Because I think it was really tough to decide who was doing what when we had the protest in Oklahoma City, which people don't understand. So Oklahoma City is in Oklahoma County.
Yes.
And so
it's confusing.
It can be confusing if you don't know. Yeah. But so Oklahoma City is in the county, and there was protests that went right in front of the Oklahoma County Jail and the Oklahoma City Police, the courthouse, and all of that. Talk to me about what your role was and what has, if anything, any policy been put in place to deal with any such thing in the future.
So in the summer of 2020, when a lot of this advocacy was really heating up, there was a group of folks who would come. Obviously they were protesting at OCPD, they were protesting at the jail, but they would often come protest at the courthouse. And during that time, because of the switch to virtual county meetings, we were not offering public comment. And there was a resolution put forward to the commissioners to not allow people to protest. And I don't know if the word protest was used, but
this was one of the other commissioners.
Exercise their voice. It actually was not any of the commissioners.
It wasn't.
It was put forward by our court clerk, who was asked to put it forward by someone else, by our district attorney. And later on in this story, the court clerk actually said, "Okay, I won't sponsor this resolution anymore." But the resolution was to essentially prevent people from being allowed to protest on public property. And so all these folks showed up at our meeting, and we didn't have public comment on the agenda. And that did not sit right with me. I did not like that. I thought that people should be able to come speak their mind. So we finally got public comment back on, and actually there was a meeting where we didn't have public comment on the agenda, and I got Kevin and Brian, my colleagues, to agree to let public comment happen. And I think we listened to about 2 hours of public comment that day. And so those folks kept kind of showing up. We got public comment added back to the agenda, and it's now on there all the time. But that to me was, I mean, if folks don't have the right to come and speak to their government, to their elected officials, and then we're asking them, or we're telling them they can't exercise their rights on our property.
I'm curious on what you think. I want to know, does public comment does it actually move or change anything? Are decisions or minds made up before the protest, are we just blabbing in the wind?
Right. For me, I can't speak for the other commissioners.
I know, yeah.
For me, if someone comes and gives public comment and they are sharing a personal story, or they're sharing how something has affected them or their family or their friends, I most certainly listen to that and take that into account. And oftentimes I show up to meetings not knowing how I'm going to vote on something. We had a contract on Monday, yesterday, that I We had 2 versions of the contract on the agenda. I kind of knew which one I wanted. I didn't know if I was going to vote no on the other one. And we had a discussion, and then I decided to vote no. But I waited until the meeting to kind of hear more information before I really made up my mind. Anyway, back to public comment. It is frustrating when folks show up for public comment and they've done this to Commissioner Calvi, Commissioner Mon, and myself. Just hateful, mean, saying cuss words. That to me does not move the needle. I know that the folks speaking are angry about something, and maybe rightfully so, but it does not make me want to listen to their viewpoint when they're yelling and screaming.
Do you find yourself, because I've watched some of those, it's painful. At least it was during the 2020, it was painful to watch.
It's still happening. It happened yesterday.
No, I don't tune in as much because it's painful. But I sometimes see some people comment, I'm going, I see what they're trying to say.
Right.
But they are under the pressure, under the
Right.
microphone, under the time stress, they're not getting it out. Do you find yourself, or any other commissioners, find yourself advocating for that person or trying to clarify what they're trying to say so that it might move the needle?
Sometimes. Back in 2020, one of the other commissioners wanted to have a 1-minute time limit on public comment. I thought it should have been 3 minutes, but it's 1 minute. But lately, Commissioner Mon, who's our chair right now, has not stuck to that 1 minute. So you'll see the 1 minute pop up if you watch commissioner meetings, in the back of the room, we can see the timer going. And it'll go far past 1 minute, and Commissioner Mon won't stop them.
Yeah.
So we have this arbitrary 1 minute rule, but Commissioner Mon we haven't been following it.
Right.
So.
Right. So okay, I'm curious about how. I mean, you were vocal about some of the social justice stuff that was happening in the city. You showed up to the Julius Jones stuff. You wore the T-shirts and you did that. How does that impact your role with the other commissioners who are completely silent?
Yeah. They didn't say much to me about it. And I was pretty, I chose when and where I spoke up about that stuff. And on the day Julius Jones's execution was scheduled, I show up to a budget board meeting or a commission meeting, I can't remember, and I had my Justice for Julius pin on. And that was the first time I'd ever worn that in a county meeting. And Commissioner Mon turned to me and asked about it and asked questions and was curious, which was the first time any of them had ever said anything. And just so that people understand, as a county commissioner, I have no authority over whether or not
that's right.
Julius Jones's life is spared. But there are a few times where I feel it is very important to use my voice and my platform to speak out about something, even if I have no authority over it nor control over it. And I'm not going to do that all the time with every single issue I see, but to me, the Julius Jones issue was important enough that I needed to speak up about it.
Yeah. I think it's a lot of public people decided to stay out of that because it's a big deal, but they didn't have any influence over the decision, so they stayed out of it. Right. So yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, talk about now the future. Okay. All right. So what are the main priorities for the next? I know there's some unknowns are going to happen, obviously, but new jail. I know that's in the plans for the next, and these terms are 4 years, right? So this will be conceivably in this next term, got to deal with the.
Yep.
Okay, talk about that.
So I would love to see us open a new jail and tear down that old puppy. I do not want to deal with that old building anymore. That's a huge priority. Number 2. We have $154 million in COVID relief money. That was kind of a second round of funding that we need to spend and get out in the community. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. I think there's
the ideas about that?
I'll tell you my ideas. Can't speak for my other 2 commissioners. Right. For the last about 9 months, I have any nonprofit, any community group that wants to come meet with me to kind of pitch their idea of how to spend the money, I've taken that meeting. And so my team and I have created basically a spreadsheet of all these needs out in the community.
And they have to be outside of Oklahoma City.
Not necessarily. Let me clarify.
Okay.
So when we received COVID funds in 2020, the commissioners decided that we would focus our money on communities in the county that were not within Oklahoma City. So Midwest City, Edmond, Forest Park, Luther, Choctaw, those communities, because they were not being serviced by any other COVID relief funds. The city had their own money, Oklahoma City, and then we had money. This time around, the funding structure is a little different. The reason why we got more money than the city this time around is because every resident inside of Oklahoma City and Oklahoma County was counted in the formula for us.
Okay.
So we received more money, in my opinion, to serve everyone in the county. So this time around, I think it might be a little different, where I would advocate for us to spend our money within the city and outside the city. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the 154 million,
Yes.
jail, what else?
Social services and homelessness services. So Oklahoma County has a social services department. There are state statutes that explicitly say that county government needs to take care of folks who are homeless and folks who are indigent. So we currently offer 2 free pharmacies, one out on Northeast 23rd, and actually we were offering one inside the Homeless Alliance. And thankfully, because of Medicaid expansion, that location is no longer needed. So I'm hoping that we can find another location for that. We offer what's called indigent burial services. So if you have a family member that passes away and you have no way to pay for their burial or their cremation, we have county funds for that. We also have 2 staff members inside the Homeless Alliance who help with care coordination and getting folks housed and all of that. So I would love to see the county commissioners invest a little more money in those programs. Oh, we also have we fund 7 beds at Cardinal House.
I don't know that one.
So it's new.
Okay.
So Cardinal House used to be, I think it used to be called Oklahoma Halfway House. For those of you listening, double check me on that. It is now Cardinal House. So we pay for 7 beds. If someone is coming out of a hospital or a medical setting and they would otherwise be going back to homelessness, we have 7 beds available where you can come stay in a safe environment. You have access to a case manager through Catholic Charities, and you stay there until you have recovered enough to where you've transitioned to those programs.
I want to learn more about that one.
Yeah.
I want to learn more about that one. I sit on the city rescue mission
Yeah.
board, so I love to know a little bit about that. All right.
Hold on.
We lost. All right. I am sorry that it was my fault. It's my fault. It was my fault. I tripped or something, but we're back.
We had a commercial break.
We had a commercial break.
Yeah.
Or something, right? Hopefully you didn't go over to YouTube or anything like that. But we are back, and I want to finish the conversation. So we don't have much longer, so just hang tight, hang tight. Share again. Share it again. Share it again. Tell them they're back. And I got a really hot question that I want to ask. You ready for this? It's not a rapid fire.
Okay.
It's
okay.
a serious question. It's
Okay.
a serious question. Stop. Because one of the things that you said that interests you when you first started thinking there was criminal justice reform. Mm-hmm. And I'm struggling to try to see how, other than the jail,
Right.
what role the county commissioner would play in formulating some policy that would impact reform in criminal justice in any meaningful way. But one of the things about criminal justice reform that keeps coming up that I got to ask everybody is the very clear, distinct disparity in racial makeup in criminal justice. What are your thoughts on it? What do you do to impact it? How do we train law enforcement?
Yeah.
But not only that, I know law enforcement is kind of dealing with that disparity in training.
Yeah.
But nobody else in the county. What about the other employees? What are we doing to?
Yeah. So the communities that have what I've seen is that the communities that have the most interaction with the justice system are the least resourced. Communities that have the least affordable housing, the least access to good paying jobs. It's communities that deserve a lot more resources than what they're getting. And I think it's also combined with sometimes law enforcement, and this is actually not just law enforcement, this is everyone, but having a bias that you don't even know you have. And I'm sure you've talked about this on your show with a lot of other people, but.
All right, you were telling us about the people, the communities that are impacted the most by law enforcement and criminal justice are communities that are under-resourced. And your thoughts on that?
Yeah. And that is one way that I see the county and the county commissioners being able to make an impact, because there are state statutes that give the Board of County Commissioners the authority to invest in some of those things.
Give me an example of what that might be.
So there are some statutes around, and when I say state statutes, for folks listening, basically all my authority as a county commissioner, how we can spend money, the policies we can enact, all of it has to be lined out in state statute, which is part of our state constitution. Mm-hmm. And the only way those can be changed is by laws that are passed at the state capitol. So all my authority, all my power comes from what's written in state statute about what a commissioner can do. Which is why people will say, oh, go try, I can't even think of an example, but they'll say, go do XYZ. Well, I have no authority to do that. It doesn't say that in state statute. So there are specific state statutes around housing. There are specific state statutes around some workforce training. And I think there's some statutes around mental health. But the ones I've looked into the most are surrounding housing.
So you believe, as your role, you can increase opportunity in under-resourced areas, and that indirectly would impact how the criminal justice.
It's an upstream approach.
Right.
Yeah. And then of course there's groups like Remerge, Diversion Hub, Team, North Care, who are serving folks who are interacting with the justice system right now and coming out of the justice system. I'm very proud to serve on the board of Remerge. If you all don't know about Remerge, you should have a Remerge mom on this show or the Remerge director.
Set it up.
Okay.
Let's do both at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Remerge is an incredible program that works with mothers who have minor children who are being sentenced to prison time for oftentimes drug offenses. And the moms go through this 18 months, two-year long program. And when they graduate, they have a housing situation, oftentimes a car. They always have a job. Typically, they've either been reunited with their children or they are on their way to being reunited with their children. The recidivism rate. Recidivism means if you are going to go back into the justice system after leaving it.
Mess up again.
Yeah. The recidivism rate for Remerge graduates is 4%. So if you complete the Remerge program, you are only 4% of the graduates have gone back into the justice system.
And it's not easy.
No,
it's not easy.
No.
It's a good accomplishment.
You are transforming your entire life.
It's transformational.
And you have the right support system to do it.
Yeah, it's remarkable.
Yeah.
It's remarkable. I've visited there. I've toured there. It's nice.
It's awesome.
We've done some things there, so it's pretty good. All right, campaigning. You're in the thick of it.
Yes.
I know it's hard.
Yes.
How and what do you need for people to support you to get out? I don't know how hard it is for you. I don't know. I'm not even sure what's going on. But tell us.
So I'm running for re-election. I will be on the primary ballot June 28th.
Okay.
If you live in my district, which is District 1, and you are a registered Democrat or registered independent, I will be on your ballot. June 28th. The two biggest ways folks can help is either donate money or donate time. Donating time, we have two volunteer events coming up, March 19th and March 26th. Will I be tagged in these so people can find me?
We'll tag you. We'll tag you.
And those volunteer events will be knocking on doors. You'll have a buddy. You can either bring someone with you or we'll pair you up. You'll get a brief training on kind of how to do it and what to do and what to say, and you'll have all the materials, and then we'll give you a list of doors to go knock and go talk to voters about why I should be reelected and why you support me, and why it's good that I want to serve another 4 years.
What's the website that they need to go to hit the donate button?
CarrieBlumert.com. Just my name, CarrieBlumert.com. Even if you give $5, it all adds up and it all matters. Campaigns are expensive. Oh my gosh, they're so expensive.
How many are you doing yard signs?
We will do yard signs.
Are you sick of yard signs?
Yes.
Be honest. Be honest.
I actually don't have a dislike of yard signs the way some people do.
Oh yeah.
I think they're fun. People kind of get annoyed at yard signs because yard signs don't vote. That's the saying.
I like the yard signs. Here's what I don't like is the demand for
Oh
them.
gosh, they
go crazy.
People get
over yard signs.
real
Where is my
snappy
sign?
about where's my sign. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and don't let them get bent or somebody take them or anything. They go
So if
crazy.
you ask for a yard sign, just be nice about it.
and be patient.
Yeah.
It's coming.
It'll come. Someone will bring it to you.
It's coming. I get that.
Yeah.
Tell me. I want to, and this is a trick question. It's not a trick question. You're gonna have to think. You're gonna roll your eyes back in your head when I ask you this question. Give me that 1 or 2 books that has informed your leadership, or podcast.
I do listen to a lot of podcasts. So I really like reading autobiographies of female elected officials. You name a Democrat female elected official, and I've probably read her autobiography.
Shirley Chisholm.
Ooh, no, does she have one?
Oh, I don't know, but I know she was a powerhouse woman.
Yeah. Oh, her picture is hanging up in my office.
Yeah.
Stacey Abrams,
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton, Kirsten Gillibrand. Oh gosh, I'm blanking. I've read a lot of books about Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Mm-hmm.
There was one, I cannot remember the name of it. This will be my answer. It really went into the nitty-gritty of Ruth Bader Ginsburg's decisions when she was on the Supreme Court and what led to her decisions about certain cases and the case law behind it. It was like a very attorney nerdy book. I'm not an attorney, but I think
sister is, so that
my
makes you
sister is
close.
I think the Supreme Court is fascinating, and I think the way they make their decisions and the research that's done to get there is fascinating. And so I cannot remember the name of the book. It was one of Ruth Bader Ginsburg's.
We can look that one up. Here's the thing. The reason why, because I just re-listened to a podcast about Shirley Chisholm doing Black History Month, and here was the fascinating. And you can go look it up,
okay.
And I'll share the podcast so you can speed to it. But during her campaign, she was going against George Wallace,
Okay.
who was the epitome of white supremacy. And he is saying all of those things, segregation now, today, tomorrow, forever. He was doing all that stuff, right? And she's campaigning against him. And in the middle of the campaign, he gets shot. And he is paralyzed. Don't know if he's going to live or die. She calls her campaign off, suspends her campaign, and goes to visit him in the hospital. And he says, woman, what are you doing here for me? Basically.
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
And she says, I wouldn't want this to happen to anybody. And you need to know this is the right thing to do. Okay, right? Mm-hmm. This is a guy that prided himself on wearing out his shoes, and now he can no longer walk. He is paralyzed. He cannot walk. He's in a wheelchair. And so years later, he changes because of the love that Shirley Chisholm showed him during that campaign that she didn't have to give him. And he rolls into a all-black church, goes down to the front of the church, Carrie, and then says, I'm sorry, would you forgive me? And the entire church starts singing Amazing Grace.
Oh my gosh, that gives me chills.
Right? Now I'm telling you. And so he then goes back and starts being at the University of Alabama. He completely changes. Oh he crowns the first black homecoming queen or something at the University of Alabama. I mean, he completely changes. And it was all because of powerhouse woman, Shirley Chisholm.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, you can look it up.
Awesome.
That's it for Conversations with Cubit. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties. The whole thing will be on YouTube momentarily. We're going to put it all together. Thank you so much to Carrie Blumert, and good luck with her campaign. We'll talk to you next week. No, another candidate next week.